Click the links for Odysee, Bit Chute, join the channel, become a valued member, or support the channel through the various other links, coffee or crypto. So Jack Murphy, aka Goldman, the grifting manly men, eager to sell you snake oil, eager to get at those sweet, sweet shekels. First of all, there is a psychological trick. If I have something I need to get rid of, it could be a car part or whatever, I won't just give it away on Craigslist for free. I sell it for like 20 bucks, something, because people think if they pay for something, then it's worth something. I don't know why that is. You could sell the same thing. Like, oh, I've got a 4-barrel carburetor for a small V8, and I just want to get rid of it just to make room. It's like you give it away. It's like, yeah, works perfectly fine. It's like they look at it like, oh, it's free. It must not be worth anything. But if you sell it, well, probably for more than 20 bucks, probably more like 200 bucks. You get the idea. Then it's worth something. People think if they pay for something, it's worth it. It is what it is. So all this advice, this self-help sphere, I can make like, I don't know, a couple of 30-minute videos that encapsulates all of it. But the thing is, it's all free, so people ignore it. So I'll put it on coffee, and I will charge a donation for it and see if anyone pays for it. I don't know if anyone would pay for it on coffee. I don't know if I have that kind of audience, people who want me to encapsulate like the most basic of advice that, I don't know, you kind of know by the time you're 30 just by paying attention and taking some notes. First of all, so as I write this with a shaved head and a beard, let me say that please ignore people with shaved heads and beards who talk tough or are trying too hard to impress you with how cool they are. It's an act. They're selling you a product. They're selling you something. It's all fake. They are fake. You and I, how we talk right now, this is how real people talk. Just normally without all this Jack Murphy, Jack Goldman pretension type of stuff. The stuff that these bearded salesmen are selling is stuff that appeals to teenagers who think the most important thing in life is validation from a woman. The way Goldman talks about sex is like a junkie talking about heroin. Life is about more than ejaculating inside a woman or even driving a sports car, which I guess is Tesla nowadays. Back in my day, it would have been something else, but it's like now you drive these silent cars, which are very fast, but it doesn't quite have the... Part of the car is the sound of the exhaust, and like, yes, you have a Tesla. It's like, it's just a I don't know. It's not the same. This stuff about that kind of stuff about, validation from women or sports cars, that kind of stuff fades very quickly. Needing approval from other people in general fades after about 30. It just kind of washes away. Where I'm not saying you go out wearing your underwear on your head, but you just live your life, and like needing the high five and the accolades from external sources is different because you, I don't know, have a more internal relationship or even a more spiritual relationship. You raise your kids, you teach them about globalist propaganda, red pill the little bastards, and then red pill the grandkids if you're at that age. Honk pill them. Teach your kids and grandkids that any time spent teaching your kids and grandkids is time well spent. Raising the next generation is very important. Trade in that Tesla for a minivan to carry the kids around. Alpha male behavior. Look for the quiet calm in people, then compare that to people who are putting on an act. Jack Murphy, aka Goldman, even his name is a lie. You can start with that, and you can just end with that. Once you find out that, like, oh, you're not an Irishman. So, like, the very foundation of you is a lie. Fake name, shaved head, majestic beard. It all screams someone who is trying way too hard. The next step is he's got, like, an expensive watch that he'll pose with. Or he'll be, I don't know, behind the seat of an AMG or something. It's like, we get it. You're charging $3,600 a year to... grift younger men so you can buy a BMW M series. It's like, okay, you have a 200 mile an hour car. Are you carrying your kids around in that 200 mile an hour car? Because you probably want a Suburban, a minivan, or a station wagon. So the thing is, the lack of the core or dogma in these people is very apparent with this mindless hedonistic type of imperative. The sexual degeneracy at the heart of Goldman. And yeah, sex is great. Bonding with your partner can be kind of magical when you get on the same wavelength and reach that same place at the same time. But sex is just a part of life, and it's just a part of your relationship. It's not the end all be all any more than, like, some people get kind of weird about smoking weed. Like, they have too much stuff that goes into it, like water pipes and regular pipes and vapes and patches, and it's like, yeah, make it a treat. Once a week is probably good enough. It doesn't need to be a lifestyle, because it's like, is this an addiction for you? It's like, oh no, I do just fine without it. It's like, okay, well then just try doing it once a week and see how that works out for you. The thing is, sex is not the nucleus of your existence. So I guess it was the nucleus at one time. The thing is, neither is lifting weights. It's a part of life, which is mostly about raising great kids and building something. You're not lifting weights to train for an event. You're lifting weights to stay strong and healthy, especially as you get older. You're training for life. That's the human race is your event. You're not training for sports. And taking growth hormone and tests and other stuff usually is not worth the risk. Anytime you're putting a substance like that into your body is usually not worth the risk, because you don't have the rewards of being a professional athlete. And don't get me wrong, if you're an athlete, then it is going to be worth the risk, because the money coming in is so crazy that that's part of the risk. It's an assumption of the risk. You're going to put this stuff in your body. You're going to play for a few years, and you're going to make a ton of money that hopefully you turn into something else. But you're not an athlete, so you don't need to do all that kind of stuff. And risking injury trying to squat 405 pounds is not worth it. If you sell insurance, you're just trying to stay in shape. It's like maybe 225 pounds. The weights are in 45-pound increments, so you start thinking in 45 pounds. And the bar is 45 pounds if it's an Olympic bar. So you think in these 45-pound increments. It's like, listen, if you're just living life, do what you can do in the gym, twice a week or something. But it's like, you don't want to spend 8 hours, even a week in the gym. It's like you have other things to do. And it might be like, if you look like, okay, well, time spent in the gym, the least amount of time is the best, because spend some time on some creative endeavor. And if you can take gym time away to write a novel, write a graphic novel, write something, put something together creative, and it's better than spending endless hours lifting weights in a gym. Because you're training for the long game of life. You're not training for sports. So what Goldman did was try to sell this filth and perversion to young men. That should be the red flag that ends your interest in Goldman. You don't build anything on a foundation of filth and perversion. Mindless hedonism is the playground of the wastrel and wretched. And there was a website, I think it's still around, called Hedonistic Imperative, which is like going back to 90s internet. And the 90s internet was a whole different. There were comics, there were cartoons on there. Mr. Wong, which I think some people put on YouTube, and Bit Chute and Odysee. Freaking the most histophobic, un-PC cartoons used to be on online back 20 or 30 years ago. Anyway, so remember Fat Chicks and Party Hats? That was a whole website. I don't know what happened to that. You probably look in the Wayback Machine. So philosophers have been warning against this sinister, the left-hand path for more than 2,000 years. Stoicism and temperance, daily step-by-step progress, turns out to be the softer, gentler path, the stairway to heaven. So dopamine, serotonin, and the rest of the mindless pursuit of those neurotransmitters, those feel-goods to validate you for the trauma you experienced as a child. Face whatever it is, write about it, and burn the books or publish it if you think it can help others and make a buck in the along the way. But deal with it by addressing it, not by crawling inside drugs, food, or pussy. And I mentioned that childhood stuff because, one, everybody's got stuff. Whatever, it could be like a move at a young age traumatized you. It's like, it could be weird things. But, if you have to go back, and the reason I'm saying this is because I look at this Goldman guy and I look at him, I go, oh, okay, something happened at some age. You can look at behavior and you can even kind of pinpoint the age it happened at by the way they express themselves as adults. The thing is, not just... don't let it control your life. I mean, go back and deal with it. Go to therapy for a year if you have to, or do it yourself. Whatever. Just get over it like you get over anything else by working on it. So seeing Goldman revealed to be this filthy parasite, the best you could have hoped for with this snake oil salesman was that he was a well-intentioned grifter who was selling, I don't know, a simple how to win friends and influence people type of book or video series, which, keep in mind, you can read all those books free digitally, or you can buy them used for a very reasonable fee. There's probably, I don't know, like, you could say like 50 great books of that kind of philosophy, of autobiographies of great men throughout history, or biographies of, George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, or going back further beyond that, Martin Luther and all those kind of guys. You can read all that stuff and with a notebook and reach your own. You can write your own philosophy book just by coalescing the wisdom of the ages. Like what does it boil down to? Eat less, exercise. Because anything you do in life is going to be easier if you're 175 pounds than if you're 200 pounds. I mean, if you've got extra fat, like everything you do in life is going to be easier if you're thin and trim. Give people your attention when listening to them. Be nice. Make them feel important. Keep your word. Keep promises that you make to other people and to yourself. Don't swear. Act like a mature adult. Honor thy ancestors, sort of stuff. Kind of basic stuff that, you watch what mature adults do and you write it down and you realize, like, oh, they all do these basic, simple things. If you pretend to be a mature adult long enough, eventually you will be one. Would your ancestors want you obsessed with the different ways to have sex? It's something a teenager obsesses about, not a 40-year-old guy with a beard and I don't know. He's either... like he's not. I can kind of envision this guy either with a truck or with like a Porsche or something. It's like it's try too hard stuff that, I don't know, if you're 30 and you made a lot of money being a real estate investor or something. It's like you came into money. It's like you're going down this kind of pathway, and then when you hit 35, you kind of look and you're like, oh, well, it's time to, trade in the 2-seater Porsche that goes 200 miles an hour for a minivan so I can take the kids around. It's like you segue out of that lifestyle, but it's like you never really need to get into that lifestyle because it's hedonism. It's the left-hand path. It's not the right-hand path. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys all next episode.